Okay, so I just really quickly wanted to go through the agenda for the day. You have been engaged in networking and you had this incredible brunch. We're going to have one of the members of our provider council, Betty Luckett, who's going to come up and she's going to introduce our CEO. Following that, we'll have some words from Jackie Majors. Jackie has been incredible. This has been her brainchild, and so I just want to say thank you to Jackie for having the vision to create this network on your behalf. I'm going to provide you with an overview regarding the African American Provider Network and talk about what we will be offering, our activities and our plan, including the implementation plan. And then we're going to have a break. We have some wonderful giveaways. And then we're going to have Justin Blakely. Justin is our public policy associate, and we heard from some of you regarding some of the policy issues that are really important, and we wanted to have an opportunity to discuss some of those today. And then we're having a presentation from one of our partners, Dr. Jessica Renata from Drew Child Development. This is really about today, you all feeling like you are the royalty that you are. We wanted to really have this opening event where we talk about your ability to provide self-care. There's been a lot that's happened in the last 2 years, and so we really want you to focus on you so that you can focus on the children and families that you care for. And then we're going to end the day with a welcome package. This is my incentive to keep y'all sitting here until the end of the program. But it will be well worth your wait, and we will hand those out at the end of the program. So I'm going to ask Betty to come up.
Well, I just want to say good morning and welcome all these beautiful faces, beautiful spirits. I feel the love in the room, and I just really enjoy it. You know, Jackie Majors has been a great part of South LA and caring for children and the community and the families that are in South LA. And I have to say, she has been one of the greatest advocates. And I have to say in the beginning, we had a shaky relationship. I always felt that I wasn't sure if Crystal Stairs was a part of us or against us. And I know as providers, you guys have often felt that way as well. But Jackie Majors has really made sure that we felt a part of and included, and has listened to me complain and voice my concerns and really worked with me and others to make sure Crystal Stairs and us as providers were taken care of. When the budget cuts happened, there she was with me planning and with Howie Mitchell on how we would go to Sacramento, how we would advocate for you and say that we deserve more. The decisions you're making are affecting the lives of not just us, but the families we care for. And she was crucial in making sure that we got up there. She made a way for us providers to get up there. She made appointments for us, made sure that our voices were heard, and that we were able to advocate for ourselves. So Jackie Majors has definitely made a mark. And when she came up with this idea of an African American Provider Network, people told her, no, you can't do that. You can't do this segregated thing. And she said, yes, I can. She said, we need to be represented. We need a seat at the table. We haven't had that. We have things that are germane to us as African American providers that are different from everybody else, and they need to be addressed. And so while she said no, while people told her no, she said yes, it is okay. And I am going forward with this. People can help us or not. But I am going to make sure we have equitable access to the same things. She wanted us to have funding. She wanted us to be able to have wealth. And not just to be surviving, but to do it well. She wanted to make sure people knew we were educated providers, that we have worked hard to obtain our degrees, our centers, our family daycares, and that we are business people. And nobody else has stood up for us like that but Jackie Majors. Jackie said, it can be done. I'm going to bring technical assistance. I'm going to make sure we get the grants. I'm going to make sure we have the ability to further our education. And so I say thank you, Jackie. Thank you for bringing us to the table. And I know she has so much more in store for us. And I am excited to be a part of it. And I know you guys are too, because you guys all got up early on your one day off to come and do this with us. But there's so much she's bringing to us. And I hope we can bring more providers. And I like that we're coming together. Because sometimes we get stuck in our own business and we don't share. But here we're able to share, share your resources, share your children. Some of you guys are full, some of you guys are not. If we all network together, we can all take care of each other. And that's what I want to advocate for. And Jackie has been a great mentor. And I just want to say thank you so much. I appreciate and love all that you've done. Thank you for South Central, for being a great mom with two fantastic daughters and a great daughter. She drives her mother to Kaiser, and I love her mother. Her mother said she could get happy hour for seniors at Kaiser Permanente. And if anybody can make that happen, Jackie will. Her mother will too. All right, introducing Jackie Makers. You guys are so amazing. And Betty, can we give a hand for Betty? I'm like, Tanya, work with Betty on the script. Betty don't need no script. And I wasn't sure where she was going with the rocky start, although it is true. You guys, I'm so happy to be here. This is really, and not just my vision, so many people have been part of this success, but as an African-American girl, growing up in Alabama, going to Dorsey High School, living in a community where I watched my family struggle harder than the person next to it, and my mother would say, but get over it. My grandmother is 101. She passed during COVID, but lived a great life. My mom was 86, going happy hour to Kaiser. So I'm God. And my two daughters are working. One is leaving for college, so if I'm emotional today, she's leaving in 3 days, and she's still paying there to help her. She's going into public health, and hopefully, really wanting to still give back to the community, because that's what we've got to do. But I'm so happy to see all of your many shades of faces in front of me, because we deserve this. We deserve this time. We deserve to be able to come together for each other, okay? And I'm going to use some slang here today, because I want to catch all of you. I got some younger people, some seasoned people, some church people, some neighborhood people. So I'm going to try to catch all of you. And I'm a neighborhood first. So we can, what's so amazing about us as African Americans is we are versatile, I'll wear my hair in a ponytail one day, they think I'm Latina, and I wear my hair, wake up with the fuzzy, and then I'm, straight from Tanzania, we are so versatile. But that's not just by the way we look, it's by the way we code switch, it's by the way we work, the way we live, the way we love. We love hard, and we often get judged for that. But I encourage you guys to love hard. Continue to love hard. Continue to love those kids that you have, the work that you do, the families that you raise. It's not Sunday, so I'm not going to give a sermon. I got to stick to the script because Tanya's not playing with me and she was like, keep it going. But I've been really challenged, and I think Betty kind of teed me up for this. I often get judged for my voice, for my style, for how I act when I get frustrated, because sometimes I just can't come back. But it's all for love. It is all for good things. I'm not in competition with anybody. I am just trying to selfishly take care of not only my people, but my programs for all of LA County children, and quite frankly, all of LA County providers, but this particular program is for y'all.
It's for us. So thank you for being here. Thank you for giving up your Saturday. I don't consider it giving up. I met you, and Mary's talking to you just mom. You know? And because y'all showed up and we're not dropping off the list, we had to move the location to an air-conditioned space because you're going to be outside. So it all works out. But let me tell you a little bit. If we can go to the next slide. I don't know. I'm a slide person. Oh,
you're fine. I shimmy.
I have one slide. You can keep it right there. And when I do things, for those of you who have heard me speak or have been around me or I've seen some of my students from West LA are here, I've been here at Crystal Stairs for 14 years. I taught at West LA for 13 years. I've been in early care and education since I was 18 years old. I ran the Crenshaw 28th Street YMCA Child Development Program. I ran the cookie jar, which was right there at the most, right now, the most devastating intersection in LA, which is La Brea and Slauson. But that's the program that I ran. And let me just stop and say, the African American young lady who's pregnant who passed away in that accident, she was a persistent family. And so I say that not to bring us down, but to remind us that life is short and it's fragile. That as African Americans, we are every day just trying to climb this ladder. Not the success ladder, not the career ladder, just the ladder of life, right? And navigate through some of the challenge. And I just, I went to her GoFundMe page immediately because that whole family was wiped out in one silly move. I just want her legacy and her life and the life of her unborn child and her son and her fiance to just be recognized in our life. I think every day, whether we're good or not, we take for granted what's in front of us and what opportunities you all had to wake up and step out of your bed and drive yourself over here and put your little cute outfit on. Those are all gifts. And so when we come immediately to a space and we're arguing or we're fighting or we're entitled or we're, competing, think about that, right? And release yourself to some of the goodness. And I'm not going to say, okay, so this is my family, you guys. This was just 2 weeks ago. These are women in my family. What I love about this picture, and if we could just, really, if we could put the time, they're all going to come together. But first of all, they're all African Americans. Whether you look at it like, well, not that one, not what we got. The lightest one on there is my baby out there, and she came from 2 black parents. Okay. I don't know what happened with the color, the pigmentation. And the one in front of her is my oldest daughter. She just graduated. So one is leaving tomorrow, one came back. My house is not empty. And all the way down that line, those are cousins and family members. And we were at a party a couple of weeks ago, which I'll just tell you guys is important. Bring your family together. Not just for funerals and weddings. You know how we do, right? Bring your family together. Just be like, hey, y'all, we meeting at Stockton Park. Be there or don't. Bring your favorite food or don't. We miss those opportunities because we're waiting for some big family reunion or something else. And then we look up and that person isn't there anymore or with us anymore. So I just encourage you, this was a really fun day. But I love this picture because it really represents everything that I wanted to tell you today. Harambe. Anybody know the word Harambe? Okay. Harambe is a Swahili term. And Harambe basically means all put together. There's a lot of different interpretations of what it means. But really, it's about all pulling together. It's about family, it's about community. It's generational knowledge, right? I was part of a Harambe program about 15 years ago here in LA, where we were going to different elementary schools and bringing folks together of all ethnicities, but around this idea of coming together. Because y'all know we're better together than we are apart. Y'all know, we all fighters, we understand that. But when we do it together, when Betty and I, when our forces came together, we were unstoppable. Apart, we're just going to make things harder for each other and give us distraction. But this is my family, right? So, all African Americans, we're all pulling because we're playing tug of war. And let me just tell you the joke, the men were on the other side. And you can just tell by those faces who won, right? But then the next word is pulling, right? Not pushing, not fighting, not judging, but pulling together, that is just easier. If I can say this grammatically incorrect, it's more fun. Right? When you're pulling together, when you're not always looking at somebody or some entity, how they're trying to get over you. We've got scars, we've got battle wounds, we've got trauma. We have a great speaker that's going to come to us today to talk about our trauma. Okay? We all got that. But when we come together, in whatever it is, child care providers, families, husbands and wives, sisters, when we come together, it's just better for everybody. And then I said together, right? Because I am somebody who I'm very independent. I actually have a very small family, an immediate family. So I don't have sisters and brothers that are coming and, helping me out or checking on me when I'm down. It's me. I'm the go-to, I'm the fixer, and sometimes it gets lonely for the fixer. Anybody a fixer in here? Anybody the nucleus of your family, of your job, of your friend group? And don't you get tired sometimes? And don't you get an attitude sometimes? Right? Those are all real feelings and they're all fine, right? But if we can work in the energy where, we're helping people understand, I need you. And needing you doesn't mean I'm going to tell you every way to help me. It might mean you have to look at me and observe and try, right? And so together is a big word that as we go through this journey of African American Provider Network together, we will understand that intrinsically. And then the last is victorious. One of the taglines on our signs over there for AAPN is shared experience, shared success, okay? Because of our shared experiences, because of growing up as African American kids, boys and girls, we already know for many of us, we experience racism, like that's one of our first experiences, right? Growing up in LA, we dealt with a little bit more of a melting pot for those of you who grew up in LA, but I understand from family and friends that, my family's from Oklahoma. That was their first memory, was some sort of racist or discriminatory act to them. And so when we can take those shared experiences and not use it as a crutch, hello, I know this is not feeling good, but when we cannot use our trauma as a crutch, because really nobody cares. I've learned that. Nobody really cares about my trauma, but they might care about helping me. They might care about joining me on my path to victory. And so victorious is the next thing, because we won, by the way, y'all. The ladies won. Now, mind you, the men outweighed us by a lot, but they were so cocky that they didn't understand the power of these black women and what we were going to be able to do. You see, I said we, I'm not even in there. But I think that's another thing, right? We can celebrate one another. We can have successes. One of your child care centers could be popping off, and one of them is still struggling. We can still support each other. You can still feel proud of your sister or your brother for making it work, and look at opportunities to repeat something they've done. Jealousy, envious competition, it don't have no place. Not in this program. Not in this network. Okay? So victorious, again, sort of the last thing, and it's sort of that vision that I have is that together we will all take each other from here to there. So that's the last thing I want to say is this is a partnership. Yes, I had a vision to bring this together, and yes, Crystal Stairs is my backing, but Crystal Stairs is just another partner with you. Don't expect no quick fixes. We get impacted by TK too. We're getting impacted by lower provider rates and all that. So we have an advocacy leg. You're going to have Justin Blakely, a very, very sharp young African-American man that is out there doing the fight for you. He's going to talk a little bit about it. I just want you to look partners with you. Please don't ever feel like you have to fight with Crystal Stairs. Hey, I got staff just like you. They don't always say the things I want them to say on the phone, and we're working on growing them. But please know that our goal is always to be a partner with you. And so stay with us. Tanya Burns, Tanya was with Crystal Stairs 15 years ago, 14 years ago, 12 years ago, She left, 12 people left right after I came, and now they're back, so I keep trying to wait. But she is now back with us, and the perfect person to be the coordinator for this event because she knows you as providers, she knows what you've experienced, and her journey between the time that she's been with us has even taught her more about what people are experiencing. And so she's such an amazing person that's going to shepherd us through this. She's going to talk to you about what the components of this AAPN over the next 3 years, which is what I got the funding for, and I promise you all, my job is done right here in terms of helping you, because now I'm going to go back and find where's the funding coming for the 3 years after that. This is not going to go away. This is not going to go away. Going, and we hope it evolves. Don't be holding us to the letter of the law. Y'all said you're going to do this. We're trying. We're trying, and we're trying against odds because people aren't, okay? But we're going to keep pushing it. So come alongside of us. Help us. If we haven't done something, it might be because we didn't think about it yet. We've got our provider council. We're going to have a provider council every year who's going to be providers and are going to work directly with us to advise us and inform us. You can come directly to us with your ideas, or you can come with them. And in the room, we've got Betty Luckett, just stand up. Betty, Tanya Muhammad, Judith Terrell, Gloria Davis. Thank you, ladies. And Frank Proctor, who is not here, but he's also part of our council this year. And in 2 years, some of you may be part of our council, okay? Because there'll be a term limit. But I'm telling you, these 4 ladies do not hold their tongue. So, you know, so it's wonderful, right? So you don't have people that are sitting there just waiting for us to say what we're going to do. They're very, very instrumental, very knowledgeable. So I just wanted to close by saying, you guys, I'm so excited you're here. You're going to get out of this what you put in. So please, give it your all because my commitment is that I'm giving it all to you. Well, thank you again for joining us today.
Thank you so much, Jackie. I am just overjoyed at this time, and there's so much more to come from this network, and I'm going to be talking about that as we get into the presentation. So, you know, again, I just want to say thank you guys. I'm extremely excited. Over the past couple of months, I've had the opportunity to speak with several of you, and I heard the excitement in your voice. You all were also saying, wow, a network that's just for us. And again, I just wanted to thank you for coming with us on this journey to really make certain that you have the information and the resources that you need to strengthen your early care and educational practices. And this is really about ensuring that South Los Angeles, the ECE field, has what it needs to sustain itself and to grow and expand and to get better. You know, I did just want to tell you a little bit of information about my background. I grew up in South Los Angeles. I went to elementary school, junior high school, and high school. I attended school in Compton, went to Centennial High School. And, you know, Jackie and I were talking very early on in this process. She asked me this question. She said, who poured into you? And what she was asking was, who helped to nurture and develop you to become the person that you are today? And in all honesty, my initial response was, you know, the teachers at my school. And that's not to take away from my parents. You know, I grew up in a loving household with 2 parents who supported me and my siblings quite well. But when she asked the question, I was really focused on the other adults in my life that really did help to shape me into who I am. And I went to school in the 70s, and so I'm going to date myself. All of the teachers in my school, in my elementary school, were Black. And let me tell you, those teachers, they nurtured us, they developed us, they spanked us, they disciplined us, but more importantly, they expected us to achieve. And they really celebrated us when we did. And there's a saying that children achieve at the level of their parents' expectation. And I would add to that, that they also achieve at the level of expectation of the adults and other caregivers in their lives. And so that's what you all do every day. Every day you all are pouring into, you're helping to nurture and develop these children. So Crystal Stairs has really been a partner with the community for more than 40 years. And this initiative is really about us expanding that partnership, again, making certain that you have the information and the resources to do the jobs that you're doing well with children and families. And so I really want to emphasize that being part of this network really will take some initiative on your part. It will take some participation, attendance at events, and we will all come together to ensure that you're able to excel in your child care businesses. I did just want to turn your attention to this logo, this incredible logo, and Isaac, where are you?
Outside.
He's outside. Oh, okay, so Isaac is outside. Isaac is responsible for branding at Crystal Stairs, and when we created this particular logo, as you can see, it includes the wonderful graphics from Cynthia St. James. It also has the nod to the poem Mother to Son by Langston Hughes, where we talk about, we've been reaching landings and turning corners, as the poem states. And we recognize that life isn't always easy. And for African Americans, I think that what has really gotten us along in our journey is that we have been able to support each other. How many of you have seen the movie Green Book? Oh, have you all heard of the movie? You've heard of the movie. So in the movie, the Green Book is really about African Americans coming together and creating a manual. And I believe it was actually the color, it was a green book, but it included information that was given to African Americans to ensure their safe travel as they traveled through the South. So it provided them with an opportunity to make certain that people they knew where they could lodge, where they could get a good meal. And that's what we've always done as a community. We come together and we fill the gap to make certain that we have the information that we need. And that's what this network is about. It's really about all of our shared experiences, the shared knowledge that you all have. The more that we share with each other, the greater the impact that we will have on this group, the children and families with whom we work, as well as the greater African American community. So that's what we're aiming for. So this is our vision, the vision of the African American Provider Network. And I'm just going to go through this, and then I'm going to talk about some of the words that are included in the vision. So the vision of the African American Provider Network is to engage, empower, and advance the African American early care and education workforce through a critical support infrastructure that will provide a space and an opportunity for equitable access to professional development, trusted information, technical and capacity building assistance, social support and strategies for sustaining and expanding high-quality child care services for children, families, and communities. So what does that mean? A lot of vision statements are, they sound really wonderful and they have lots of flowery words. And so I just kind of want to talk about it and to really delve into what the vision is, because it really is the North Star. It describes who we are and what we want to achieve. But more importantly, what it's really about, it's about us. It's by us and for us. Our experiences as African Americans have too long been shaped by discriminatory practices, inequities in income, healthcare, education. And so even in the ECE field, y'all, there are lots of inequities. I don't know whether or not you all are aware, but in terms of pay, African Americans receive a much lower pay on average than our white counterparts. And so it's really critical that we have a space where we're able to talk about the things that are specific to our community based upon our history in this country. And so that is why we have a space that is specifically for us. This is also a place where we want to engage, empower, and advance your economic condition. And we will have opportunities for engagement through our regular professional development, training, and other opportunities. And we also want you to be empowered to participate in this network. There are going to be opportunities for you to participate in this network through some of the services that we offer, particularly through our coaching and mentoring services, where we're going to leverage your experience, your knowledge, and some of you all are doing this anyway, but Crystal Stairs is actually going to pay you for doing that specific work, and I'll talk a little bit about that later in the presentation. So economic advancement is really one of the goals of this initiative, and through those paid stipends, that's how we're advancing your economic condition. So we're building this career pathway really about building the support infrastructure, and what we want to do is to create various activities that will allow you to decide where you want to go. And so it really takes into consideration where you are at any given time. And so within this group, we know that we have people who are brand new to the field. We also know we have people who are very experienced, but wherever you fall along the spectrum, there is an opportunity for you to improve your business, your ECE services that you are providing in the community. And so the individual pathways that we are creating will be specifically tailored to you individually. Your path is going to be very different from your neighbor's path. It's also about equitable access. And so equitable access is really about making certain that people with the highest needs are prioritized for services. And so throughout this journey, we're going to make certain that you all get the information and that you have access to the resources, because the reality is, if you're in the Crystal Stairs service area, you are living in some of the areas that do have the highest needs in the community. And so, again, too long, we've always had to be at the back of the line. And this is about bringing those resources to you now to better improve your economic condition. We also want you to trust this network. We want to bring information to you. And let me just say this. I don't know if you guys remember, a couple weeks ago I sent you an email. And in the email I talked about a communication strategy. And one of the things that I will be doing when I send you information, if there is something that is really important, it's going to be labeled as an alert. And if it's labeled as an alert, and I know that you guys are incredibly busy, you're taking care of children all day, but if I send something that's labeled as an alert, it means that this is something that is time sensitive. It means that it's something that may have a deadline. And I want you to make a mental note to yourself to get to that particular alert sooner rather than later. I don't want you to wait until the last minute. I need you to read that email, and I need you to read all of it. Because if you, sometimes, we will open up something and we just read like the beginning of it, but if you scroll down at the bottom, there will often be specific action that you all are going to need to take. And so my commitment to you is that I'm sending you that information so that you can take that action, because I don't want you to miss out potentially on opportunities. So I want you to do this sooner rather than later. I want you to do this sooner rather than later when you see those emails. What do I want you to do? Sooner rather than later. Are you going to wait until the last minute? No. Please don't. There are going to be some grant opportunities that are coming down the pike very, very soon. And the Crystal Stairs service area is in one of the highest priority areas. So you all will be given first dibs at applying for these grants. So when I send you that information, you're going to need to make sure that.
And I'm going to say this, I'm sure you guys hear my voice. She stated so sweet. If y'all know we're starting to these alert emails, they are not only just bombard your email with a whole bunch of, get to know stuff, decide you want to read out. Tell me to alert on, it means it is time sensitive, and we are also sitting in the background trying to look at and trying to tell us. We are here Right? Yeah, and I'm gonna be honest. I don't want to hear later we didn't know. I don't. Tell it to somebody else. Now, mind you, some of these things have different criteria. I hate it, but like, it's not the city of LA, it's ARPA funds. I'm sorry. I guess I'm going to I'll follow directions. But when Tanya sends you those things, and we're going to try to only send you those things when we really need it. But please, don't be sitting on the side that said, well, look at it. And the other amazing things that she'll send you in terms of just edifying you and learning more, those things you can choose to do on the weekend. We understand you're here for kids all day long, and that having to do those, but those, please read. What is coming out in the next one?
Yeah, even for today's event, y'all, I got a bunch of calls, folks that hadn't read their email, and they were not able to register for this event. So it's really critical that you make certain that you read it timely, and that you read it fully, and that you take the action that is necessary that's included in the email. This network is also about us providing assistance. And I describe assistance as really a warm handoff. You know, there are times when you're asking for support and help, and we are part of a larger network, and we have partnerships. There will be referrals to other organizations. And my commitment to you, again, is with this warm handoff, I want to make certain that you don't fall through the cracks. And so what that means is, if I'm referring you somewhere, I'm making the call on your behalf. I am actually speaking to the contact, and then I'm expecting the contact to get in contact with you, and then for them to follow up with me regarding the date and time that they spoke with you. And so that way it ensures that you don't fall through the crack, and that we're not having you to navigate these incredibly difficult systems sometimes. And the way that we will do all of that, we have several different strategies by which we will be doing this. It's through communication, leadership, and programmatic offerings. So let me first talk about connection points. And the connection points are really a description of the various activities that we plan to offer, and we have categorize them into 3 buckets, and I'm going to talk about the 2 buckets on the ends first. So this is really about your business. Someone mentioned earlier that you are not babysitters, that you are business owners. The application that you all completed indicated that almost 70% of the people in this room are family child care home providers. And so you are business owners, and what we want to do is to help support your businesses. You identify the types of business supports that you want in your application. And they included information like, I saw lots of requests for, I really need some help with marketing strategies. I really need to know how to better use social media so that I can do better outreach and to reach more families and recruitment for my business. I really need some help with record keeping. Payroll, you all talked about payroll. So those are the types of business supports that will be available to you to really help strengthen your business. And then on the other end, regarding professional skill development, that is really about your program as an early care education professional. What is it that you need to strengthen your program? Again, in that application, just to summarize some of the high-level items that you all identified, you said, I need some help with parent engagement. I have difficulty sometimes with working with families. I need some help with learning how to set up the environment so that it really does promote better learning for the children that are in my care. We are going to have opportunities for you to build your program as well as to build your business. And we will be offering these at least once monthly. I will be completing a calendar that will outline the various training opportunities that will be available to you. But I also want to make certain that I talk about the middle column, which is really about access to resources. There are so many resources that are currently available to early care and education professionals, internally at Crystal Stairs, externally with our partners. and we want to make certain that you have access to all of those particular resources, one of them being for those of you that are family, friend, and neighbor providers. I've already received requests for assistance with licensing, and quite frankly, how many family, friend, and neighbor providers are here today? One? Oh, everybody else is licensed? Yeah? Your family, friend, and neighbor as well? Good for you. Good for you. Yes.
In here, the family provider, family friends and neighbors, not licensed. Not licensed. Exempt. License exempt. We call it all kinds of different things. Well, raise your hand. Okay, we have several more. And again, one of the programs Tanya is talking about is if you want to get licensed, we're going to help you get licensed.
And for the family, friend, and neighbor providers, it really does make sense for you to become licensed. You're already caring for kids. You may as well become a business owner and care for more children. Regarding the funding that's available, we can help pay for training. We can help pay for some of the licensing requirements. And so it's to your advantage to contact us about that. Crystal Stairs already is providing those services, and what we can do is link you with those particular types of services. And then there are also lots of programming that I'm in the process of developing, one of them being the Apprenticeship Services Program. So the apprenticeship is really about being able to earn your ECE credential or to earn additional credits that would give you your ECE credential and or permit. We are committed to paying for that. We're committed to paying for your tuition, giving you books, laptops. Every person will be connected to a coach, and really depending upon where you are in that journey will depend upon how much assistance that you need. They're going to be, they're going to need the full breadth of services because they're brand new. Students, for example, would require the full breadth of services. Those of you that are already providing services but you just want your credential, your services would be somewhat limited and smaller. But we also will be offering, in addition to paying for those services, at the end of the apprenticeship, you'd be entitled to receive stipends. And then I want to make certain that, and a lot of you are already participating in those county-wide programs through the Office of Early Care and Education, through Quality Start LA. Those programs offer paid stipends. And so for those of you that are participating in those programs and you're receiving the stipends, I think it's wonderful. But for those of you that are not, you should be. Every dollar counts. And so if you're going to be paid for going to professional development, for going to school, take advantage of the funding that's available. And so we will be assisting with that. So I'm going to talk just a little bit about our strategies and how we plan to come together. So the network meetings will be held once quarterly. This is our very first network meeting. It's going to be structured very similar to this one. We really want it to be worth your while. So the duration of those meetings will be approximately 3 hours, and every meeting will have a professional development component. Regarding the professional development, I've already talked about the different types, whether it's really programmatic focused or business focused. What I want to do is to tap into the resources that are here. Again, I've gleaned a lot of information from your applications. I asked the question, who has expertise in specific areas? And you all identify your expertise. And so, I talked about marketing, social media, administrative support, setting up the environment. I'd like to see a show of hands. Who has expertise in any of those areas? A lot of you do. And so we'll be tapping into those resources so that you will be able to help share information with your peers. And it's also a potential opportunity to earn more income.
I want to hear from you Then find someone else. This is a revenue-generating opportunity for you. And if you are calling yourself an expert in marketing or staffing or room arrangement, or to help your neighbor, we're going to pay you. You get it now? Right now? Now how many experts do we have?
One of the other offerings that we will have will consist of affinity groups. And affinity groups, these are really smaller groups of 8 to 10 people that really come together for to talk about a specific issue. And we want these groups to be smaller because it's really an opportunity for you all to share at a deeper level regarding some of the, I guess, more challenging issues that you might be facing. You all will be determining what the topic is for an affinity group, and when those groups come together, again, they will look very different. Some groups may meet, for 1 to 2 sessions. Most groups will meet over a period of time. It may be 3 to 6 months, but you're meeting on a regular basis to really talk about and support each other regarding those issues that are really important to you. And my role is really to assist with scheduling, to make certain that you have a meeting space, you have a platform, but you all will actually be the individuals that will be coming together on a regular basis and supporting each other in these groups. And I've talked a little bit already about coaching and mentoring, but I'm going to go into this a little bit more. This is really what separates us from a lot of the support programs that are currently out there for early care and education professionals. Because we are going to pay you to be a coach to someone, to be a coach to someone who is less experienced, someone who is newer to the field, and what we want to do, our budget has indicated that we will have up to 20 individuals that will provide coaching. And every coach can coach up to 11 hours per month. Every coaching assignment is going to be very different. It's going to be tailored to the specific needs of the individual who is requesting the coaching. And so you may have an assignment where you are meeting with someone, again, it may be 1 or 2 sessions, but you also may have a coaching assignment that is very long-term. And you can have more than one assignment at a time, as long as you don't exceed 11 hours per month. And the hourly, Jackie, I just kind of wanted to talk about the hourly, the rate for coaches. Yeah, so our rate for coaches is about, it's $75 an hour. So if you can coach,
$75 an hour.
$75 an hour, 20 individuals that can coach up to 11 hours per month. Who's good at math? What is that cap then at 11 hours per month? And 825 times 12. How much is that? 9,900. Say that again. So that is potentially increasing your income by almost $10,000 in a year.
I've never been paid for that. Okay, and I don't qualify, but take this opportunity because this starts rolling out. So again, we're going to screen to make sure you really not only have the time, so that you're not interfering with right? Because we don't want to take you away from your children. But we want to help they empty. And we want you to get paid for what you're already giving your neighbor, your friend, or someone else with advice on the phone.
Yes, go ahead.
Y'all have paid coffee. Unlimited drinks. So, as Tony continues to talk, you know what this opportunity, we don't want you to get up. If you have a coffee order, iced coffee, anything, write it on your little AAPN sticky note, and my friends are going to provide red that sticky note, and we're going to get your coffee for you, okay? And just hold it up when you have it. Okay, go on now.
Okay, wonderful. Look, I want my little coffee drink too. So I've already talked about resources and I've talked about the stipends, but I just can't emphasize the impact that the stipends will have on your bottom line, on your specific earnings, because this really is about advancing your income. So we've talked a lot about what we're going to do, and now I'm going to talk about when we're going to do it. And so this is our implementation plan. The first items that are listed here under research and design, all of that has happened. Jackie and her leadership team, they created the design. We were able to write a proposal, and we received funding from the Ballmer Group. You all received that incredible email that announced we received $1.3 million to fund this network. So I got a lot of questions from people when Jackie sent the email to everyone. People wanted to know whether or not it was a specific grant opportunity for them. It's what that funding will do. It will fund this network. And so when I say that we're paying for apprenticeship programs and we're able to pay for coaching, we are utilizing those funds to be able to support you in that way. So we're starting the process. Jackie already talked about the provider leadership team. We've identified, who the group currently is. We have 5 members of the Provider Leadership Council right now. My aim is to have 8 to 10 at any given time. And at any given time, people may join the council, they may fall off maybe 6 months later, but that's also an opportunity for you. They do act as an advisory group to me. They provide me with information regarding, how to best connect with you guys. What are the topics of interest that you all have? Even with outreach for these types of events and coming to these events, how many of you received a call from a provider about and encouraging you to come to this event today? From a member of the Provider Council. Yeah, so there were a lot of you. So they're acting as ambassadors for the African American Provider Network, and we also provide them with a stipend. So they participate in meetings on a regular basis. We have regular monthly meetings, and they also receive a stipend for the role that they play on the council. Regarding our membership drive, oh my gosh. 2 weeks ago, we had 80 members. Today, y'all, we are over 200 people. And the grant is for a 3-year period, and so we informed, the Ballmer Group. We said that we can get 300 people to join this network over a 3-year period, and we've exceeded, we're at 200 people, 6 months in. So we know that we're going to exceed that number significantly. So I've already talked about my communication strategy. I'll be sending you guys information. We'll be completing a calendar of events. You should be hearing from me 2 times monthly. I really don't want to bombard you. And then when it's something that is time sensitive, it will be labeled as an alert. Regarding the professional development opportunities, the professional development is slated to start at the end of September. Again, I am in the process of creating the calendar. It will be either programmatic or a business topic. And I also hope to begin to start scheduling at a minimum, putting the affinity groups together. And so what I need from you all is I need to know what is the specific topic where people are going to come together. And if we have a really high interest in a specific topic, let's say, the topic, and I understand the members of the Provider Council have told me that children with special needs is a really, really high area of interest. And so let's say there is an affinity group around that topic and 20 of you sign up for it. We will separate that into 2 different affinity groups. but we will start to identify the topic and then to schedule you all, assign you to those groups in the month of September, and we hope to start those affinity groups in mid-October. Other opportunities are going to start sooner. Again, I talked about some of the services that are already in place that Crystal Stairs already offers, such as assistance with licensing. For those of you that are interested in those types of services, in September, early September, you will be able to be connected to those types of resources so that you can start that process of earning your license, if that is the specific goal that you have. Regarding peer coaching, so the peer coaching, there's some things that need to happen related to peer coaching. Number one, we need to identify who the coaches will be. We do have clear criteria regarding what it is that we expect from individuals that will coach. There will be an application process that will go out. I will then be reviewing those applications. Once we have selected the coaches, then we will be sending out applications for those who want to be coached. And so we're not expecting that process will happen until possibly November. And then regarding the apprenticeship program, honestly, there are a lot of moving parts to this. We will be working in partnership with community colleges. We don't anticipate that we will start that not before the spring of 2023. It potentially would be September of 2023 when the apprenticeship program is actually built out and we're ready for enrollment. So here, just I'm kind of taking a look at my time here. Here, I just kind of wanted to share some information with you about who you guys are. So you've all taken the time to complete the application, and I've compiled some data to give us an idea about who's part of our membership. When I completed this, we had 180 members. Obviously, we're slightly higher than that right now. But regarding the average age of the person of the membership, we are actually a very mature group. We are a mature group, and I'm in that category, with 75% of members over the age of 41. But what this tells us is that we really do have an opportunity to do some recruitment of younger folks, because this network is also about recruiting individuals, African Americans, to the field of ECE. And so we want to be able to have more individuals to come into this field so that we're able to have our children cared for, individuals that are African American. Years in the ECE field, obviously that aligns with the average age, with 56% of members between the ages of with 6 to 25 years of experience. And then folks at 17% of us have been doing this for 25 years or more. 17% of the people that are part of our network have been doing this work for 25 years or more. You all, again, most of the people that are represented in the group are family child care home providers, both small family child care home providers as well as large family child care home providers. I was really happy to see that about 20% of us are license exempt, and so I'm glad to see that those of you who are license exempt are here and will be taking advantage of the offerings that we will have. And then this other 5% is really those individuals who are center-based programs. And so although they're a small percentage of this group, the number of children that are served at their facilities is really large. We have some facilities, that serve more than 1,000 children. And so those individuals represent, a lot in the ECE field. And then that remaining 12% are students, retired folks, educators. And so that's who represents this membership. Regarding enrollment, I just kind of wanted to share some information. 47% of you said that you are caring for 8 children or less. And so I'm assuming that those of you that have family child care homes and or those of you that are providing license exempt care. And then another 43% of you are family child care home providers caring for 9 to 14 children. And then regarding your expertise, y'all are showing out. When I asked the question, what expertise do we have? You all said, I am an expert in helping people to administer their programs. I can help you with setting up your program. I can help you with setting up the environment. I have yoga. I'm a yoga instructor, and that is a specific skill that we also will utilize at some point, during this network. And so you all are an incredibly impressive group of folks. And again, I just kind of wanted to share that information with you. So that ends my presentation, everyone. We're right on schedule, and what we're going to do now is to take a 10-minute break, 15-minute break, and then Justin is going to come up to do his public policy presentation. But before we go, we're going to do raffles.
Okay, everyone, keep your cakes inside your goodie bag. I said everybody was getting paid. And at the top, you gotta lay inside your bag. And right there at the top,
Inside your bag is your
was we singing? We were singing. We were singing. Right here. All right. You want to take one? All right, Miss Betty. All right, you ready? 449. 005. 005. You got it? Because we still got it right here on Facebook. Okay. Here you go. Take the word, Rob. Come on there. All right. 449 030.
Lots of advocacy in the community, and so he's going to come up and talk to you about some of the issues that are important and burning issues right now for us to be aware of. So Justin.
Thank you, Tanya. Wow. First of all, I want to say I'm always honored to be in these types of spaces. Most times, especially being in the policy side of things, there ain't people who look just like us in those spaces, right? And so my name is Justin Blakely, as I've been introduced as, and I'm actually clicker. I'm from Compton, California. And I'm that's not done, right. That's for our whole community, right? We got time to build it too. That's all right. And you know what? I want to take a pause at that moment because, before we went to break, I just want to elevate that special moment we just had, And that's what the African American Provider Network is all about. Us as all levels of expertise, all levels of shades of black coming together and really being in a safe space here at Crystal Stairs, right? An organization that has been in business for over 40 years, right? And this African American Provider Network that was founded and really the vision was set by Black women, right? And so it's just an amazing space to be in. So I'm just truly honored to be a part of this, right? And so, I have come here to talk about what's going on legislatively, right? And what are we doing here at Crystal Stairs, but also what we all can be doing, us as a community, right? And how we are able to not only elevate our voices, but really look at how are we ensuring that we are getting the resources we need to not just stay at where we are, but really to advance ourselves, right? And so it takes a village, right? And we talked about that earlier. So I just want to kind of go through really briefly, what is my work, right? Being the public policy associate, really, I'll come in even to Jackie's office. She's busy all day, but I'll just tell her about bills and all this AB 5926. She's like, what? And so, it's really about how are we being able to communicate the messaging on what's going on in Sacramento. Before we even go to Sacramento, what's going on in LA County, right? We have our great Supervisor Holly J. Mitchell, she is the chair of the largest county in the nation right now, right? And she is a former CEO, not only former CEO, but an actual ECE champion for us. And so, what's going on at the county level, right? So we're focused on those things. We're focused on Sacramento level things, right? And also federal. And so we've been really busy, y'all. I promise you we have. And so one of the first things I just want to talk about is really how are we connecting with the community, right? And that kind of goes in a couple different ways, right? Crystal Stairs, we take different positions on legislation, right? And I'll get into one bill that just went through the appropriations that will really advance some of the work that we're doing. But, how are we talking about legislation? How are we being able to come to the table with you all to talk about not only how we can educate, but how are we able to best support you in using your voice to be able to move forward and talk about this type of work on your own behalf? Because, again, we'll be in Sacramento, we'll be on Zoom, we'll be everywhere in DC, but, they at a certain point, they get used to seeing us, right? And so whenever you all come to the table with us in partnership, the real stories that you tell are really profound, and it really hits a different chord with people. And so as we talk about this work, it's not my work, it's not Crystal Stairs' work, but it's our collective work, and it's how we move our community forward. So just keep in mind those different things. And so also even want to talk about that picture right there, Miss Judith Terrell, who is so we got the little fancy picture. It came like that. Judith sent it to me, so I was like, she must want me to put this on y'all. But no, it was a really great picture, and it was a really great experience. And also our Community Voices coordinator, Nina Frankie Hollow. Give her and I was on an amazing advocacy trip with those two beautiful Black women, and it was an amazing experience because one, Crystal Stairs, it was just us in the room, and you know what I mean when I say us, right? And then two, our experience and what we were talking about, the plight that we deal with is much more different than what everybody else across any community and any other part of California is dealing with. So our voices are so important to these conversations because if we aren't there, they are not going to hear and know about what our experiences are, right? And so I just want to recognize those two, but also more importantly, Judith, for coming with us on that trip because her story, her experience over 20 plus years in the early education system, it sent those legislators in the tizzy really looking back like, wow, like that's what's really going on. And so these are the people who are, on the appropriations committee who are moving hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars every year that she's in the room with, and she's not only advocating for herself, but she's advocating for all of us here. And so I just really want to be able to shout her out while I say that. And so I'm going to go through quickly. I just wanted to take that moment to pause and just recognize the space we're in. But of course, the large thing that we do, right, it's a part of the Crystal Stairs mission advocacy, right? And so we know early education and child care issues are not in a vacuum. And one of the things I always tell legislators is that because you're not investing in the early education workforce, then our economy is going to continue to fail, right? people are not going to be able to move themselves out of poverty if we're not able to make sure that our babies are taken care of, that they're developed, but not only just that, but our workforce, those who are nurturing our children, are properly compensated, properly put in a position to not only be stabilized, but to move forward. And that's what we're all about here, right? And so some of the things that I do, right, I'll just go through them briefly, right? I was able to be invited to the state capitol to speak about a bunch of different things, but really talking about our early education workforce, really talking about how the recovery of our child care system really needs to be fully funded, right? And I was able to speak at a couple different very high point committees, which was the California Assembly Education Committee, and also the California Senate Budget Committee. We've been in Crystal Stairs, although it was me, but Crystal Stairs was invited to give legislative policy briefings to other statewide organizations on what is the lens of what the policy issues are from our vantage point, right? Because as you guys continue to tell us what's going on, we're able to craft this message on what really is the solutions we need to be addressed and how do we move things forward. So it's important that we're able to hear from you all, and not only just hear from you all, but you are walking with us on this step toward moving to advocacy, right? The proper advocacy. And, one of the other things that we do, I mentioned LA County, but also being able to serve on the LA County Commission for the Policy Roundtable, representing the 2nd Supervisional District. So representing the great supervisor, Holly J. Mitchell's district. It's been a great experience, but there's a lot of work that we're even doing on a county level, y'all. And we really need you all in partnership. So I just want to elevate those things. And then lastly, on this slide, I just want to talk briefly about the legislative engagements. We've been in Sacramento, we've been in DC. Legislative meetings include, we've talked to over 19 state legislatures in the Senate and the Assembly, and also we've done a lot of legislative meetings in Washington, D.C., where we talked to over 6 congressional members in D.C. about what is going on at Crystal Stairs, but also what's going on across the early education field. So let's go through just some high point issues that we really want to discuss very briefly, right? These are our current policy priorities, right? And this is kind of the springboard of what we've been doing since the pandemic started, right? And we are not technically out of the pandemic, right? And we really need to recognize that there's still a lot of healing we need to do from where we were even 2.5 years ago, right? We haven't caught up yet, right? Right? Okay, so how are we able to, elevate that and talk about what those issues are, right? I know I'm not the only one who can speak about, 2020 to 2022, right? We're about to go in 2023. It's a whole different person that I am versus what I was before. And that was because of what the pandemic done, right? And that's just us personally. We're not even talking about how we're impacted with our work, right? And so, one of the main things we've really been going hard on, right, is really talking about how are we ensuring that provider wages absolutely must be increased. We cannot be able to move forward unless we're able to recognize that those who are caring for our children need to be compensated with that true cost of providing child care services to our children is, right? One of the other big things, talking about recovery funds, talking about how are we stabilizing the ECE system, right? We've been talking about stipends, we've been talking about how we're able to, get those dollars for child care infrastructure, right? And making that technical assistance part. And I've talked to a few people in the provider council about what that process has been, even with CBSS and a bunch of other statewide or stakeholders within the state. And so, how are we addressing those things and making sure that we have the funding, but also we make it very accessible for you all to access the funding, and specifically our African American providers who we see lost out on a lot of those different opportunities during the pandemic and even currently because of the different nuances and the different blockings that have been able to, kind of hinder us from getting those funds. And then lastly, and those two kind of go together, but overcoming the challenges of transitional kindergarten and what that means to our system moving forward and where we're currently at right now, right? And making sure that we are moving forward with a mixed delivery system model, right? And this includes, right, parental choice. This includes ensuring that all providers at the table are able to be able to serve our children, right? And not just keeping it in one central location for child care services to be done, right? There's so many unintended consequences, excuse me. And also really there's a lot of different things that will impact the workforce, obviously, but it will disproportionately impact Black women in the early education workforce. And that's something we've been elevating for years, right? And we're going to continue to double down on what that means. But as I talk about that type of topic point, right, we have what? Black women here in the early education workforce, right? Whether you're a center director, whether you're a family child care home, whether you're, and we have some, FFNs, so on and so forth, right? And life supervisors. And so, what's that experience been like for you all, right? I can be able to gather, I can be able to collect the data, I can be able to hear some stories, but we have this space right here, and I know everyone's experience is different. Although we have a shared experience, what we've been going through in this pandemic, especially as I talk about the child care system, is very nuanced, it's very diverse, and so we need to be able to have this. And then lastly, I want to be able to really talk about what are the threats and opportunities, right? And really talking about, I know you guys have table tents, right? And I hope you guys were able to have some, brief conversation about, those different questions that we have. And really, I want to be able to, and we'll look at Tanya. Do we have a brief moment, or do we want to be able to kind of discuss that later in the interest of time? Let's move forward. Yeah. And so, but I do want to say this though. Although we aren't able to have a larger discussion right now, I want to be able to make sure that, and shout it out Nina, our great Community Voices coordinator, we have a Community Voices program, right? Where we not only give a round of applause for that, where we are not only, it's all about educating, empowering, and so we can be able to effectively advocate, right? And so I invite you all, if you're not a Community Voices member, please sign up. Please be a part of that program because, I'm able to come there, be able to provide presentations, really to talk about the in-depth discussions on policy, but how we're able to make sure that you all are coming with us to these Sacramento and DC trips to be able to advocate on your own behalf. We want you there, right? So I just want to be able to elevate that really quickly. And so looking at other threats and opportunities, right? If you see that picture right there, that's what a transitional kindergarten flyer is looking like, right? And this is, when we're talking about the threats and opportunities going on. And one of the big things, we've already talked about is transitional kindergarten, right? There's funding now. I will say that we've been pushing hard. If you ever heard of the policy called SB 976, it was authored by Senator Leyva. It's essentially a bill that says transitional kindergarten cannot go forward unless it has a mixed delivery model included, which includes all of us at the table, right? And so there's funding for it. There's still a lot of policy kind of, unpacking that needs to happen at the state level. But as we're having those meetings, we need you all at the table to show what is the negative impact that will happen if this is not the way that we're addressing it, right? Mixed delivery. So again, we'll get into those conversations at another time. And then talking about the other threats and opportunities, right? Post-COVID, fear of trauma, mental wellness. We have a great presenter coming up here to talk to you all right after me to talk about what it is about making sure that we are practicing self-care and wellness, right? But also talking about the new work culture that's also forming, right? I won't say post, but as the pandemic has evolved, right? And what that means for early education and what it means for children attending our different child care programs. Lower birth rates, that's something we don't really talk about, but it's something that's out of our control as well. But, a lot of things have come about, after the COVID or during COVID, I keep want to say after we far from out it. People are afraid to have children, right? There's an economic recession that people are potentially scared about in terms of bringing their children into the, this world. And also, really, quite frankly, we also have a lot of a very broken healthcare system, right? And really, when we talk about Black women, right, the Black maternal mortality rate, right? Black women are 3 times more likely to die from a pregnancy cause, pregnancy-related issue versus white women, right? And so our healthcare infrastructure is extremely damaged and it's extremely racist, right? Structural racism that is findings. And so these are some of the things that we have to consider, right? Provider reimbursement rate, right? We've been on the, at the table with those conversations. Crystal Stairs is at those tables, but we continue to need to hear from you all as those conversations move forward. And then lastly, I'm talking about capacity building dollars, right? How are we recovering and stabilizing the early education system? That's something we're continuing to talk about, and more of those dollars are going to continue to come out. And then also addressing the staffing issue, right? Quality staffing is something important as we move our child care programs forward. And how are we able to make sure that we have a early education system that is competitive with all the other workforce industries? Because this type of work, you have to have a passion for it, right? My mom just retired 30 years from teaching, and she was a passionate teacher, right? And an early educator, right? And so how do we continue to make sure that we have you all at the table still, right? Providing your expertise, continue to serve our children, but we bring new providers into our early education system that look like us, right? And so these are the things that we're talking about. These are the things that we're discussing. And so I just want to be able to give you all of that. And we have a lot more unpacking to do, but that's my time. And I appreciate all of your time. Please come talk to me. I'm here. And thank you for listening. Appreciate it.
I really wish that Justin had more time to really delve into some of those issues because they really are important. I appreciate the conversation, Justin, regarding transitional kindergarten and its potential negative impacts on those of us that are in the room, as well as provider rates. And it also brings to mind, I just want to share that this network, we're able to do a lot, but we're not miracle workers. You know, one of the things that you all ask for in your applications, I saw this more than once, we need more money. Yeah, we know. And so we have Justin doing a lot of the advocacy, but some of those issues are outside of the realm of what we will be tackling inside of the African American Provider Network. And so I just wanted to make a point of that. Again.
And we're not the only entity.
Yes.
Right? There's provider union, there's other folks that are tackling this. So we just want to leverage our forces together.
Partnerships.
Again, Justin is doing a lot of that work. I advocate too. I know it sounds like we just don't know what to advocate. But I want to say that we're not the only ones. We're doing it with our partners, Drew, connections with children, all of those folks, and all kinds of other things. So we don't want to make it too much of one another.
Absolutely. So our last presenter, and I just want to spend a little bit of time bringing her up. You know, we talk about the African American Provider Network as a space that is specifically for African Americans, and that's true. You know, we look around the room, and that's who's in the room. But there are going to be times when we bring resources and information to you from people who are not African American. And these are individuals that have a specific area of expertise. And so we want to make certain that we're bringing you really good information. Please know that I've had conversations with everybody that will come to you regarding how important this space is for you. And so when they come, they're coming into your space to be respectful of who you are and what you need. Having said that, I do want to introduce Dr. Jessica Renata. Dr. Jessica Renata is from one of our partner agencies. We actually just formalized the partnership. They will be providing various training opportunities for us. Dr. Jess works with Drew, and so, you know, she works with this community. She works with child care providers. She has expertise in trauma-informed care. She works with the Bridge program and Drew Child Development. And when we thought of someone to come here today to talk to you about what are the things that you need to do to make certain that you're caring for yourselves, this is something that they have already created this training on self-care, and we did tailor it to this group. She did some modifications to that training. And so I just want you to know that Dr. Jess is how she likes to be referred. She knows who this group is, and she is very supportive of this group, and I just wanted to welcome her to the stage. So Dr. Jessica Renata.
Oh, I feel a lot shorter. I almost couldn't having to pull that down. Thank you so much, Tanya. Just really quickly, I do want to say I'm so impressed. First of all, thank you guys for having me and welcoming me into this space. The leadership at Crystal Stairs is awesome because they, she really did like, girl, what's your credibility to be working with our community, basically. And so I do want to share a little bit about my background and why this is so special for me to be working with you guys. I actually went to elementary school at St. Lawrence Brindisi. Does anyone know in Compton? So right on Compton at 103rd. I feel like I'm going to give you key points of my life, and that'll also give you, just a little bit about who I am. So I went to school, Catholic school girl, right there in Compton, and then also I ended up working. Who knows Summer Night Lights? That program, the city. Okay, I worked Summer Night Lights at Nickerson Gardens for a summer right before. Yes. So, and I am an educator and a social worker. That's how, if you want to be like, who is this girl? I'm an educator and a social worker. I taught at Locke High School, and I also taught at Animal Watts. In my younger days, I thought I was going to go to law school because I wanted to work for our communities, and, on the criminal justice side. But my time at Locke High School, I was working in an alternate ed academy, so essentially everyone was credit recovery. These kids are just working to get their GED and kind of get out of there, right? That experience is what had me say, you know what, I don't want to work on the criminal justice side. I think I want to work on the preventative side before these kids get into that system, right? So that had me go into social work. When I was as an intern, baby social worker therapist, I did therapy at the Kaiser Permanente Watts Counseling and Learning Center, so right there also. Love my time there, still love my KP Watts family. And now, I work at Drew CDC, right in the heart of kind of the Compton, Willowbrook, Watts area, Linwood area. So, I feel like I have really spent a lot of my career working alongside and for the African American community, and I'm going to continue to do so. So that's just a little bit about me. I'm so glad to be here with you guys and to talk about self-care and to end on this note, because as you guys know, you guys are talking about serious stuff, right? And this group is coming together to really empower you guys to be able to handle your business and to move forward. That's what I heard, right? Not just sustain, but to grow and to better ourselves and to really hear the needs of this specific community. And so while all of that is great, and we need more money, right? There's never enough money. We also need to take care of ourselves, right? Because we cannot do that advocacy, we cannot do that fighting, and we're not taking care of ourselves. So I'm just going to share a little bit about that with you today. Self-care is obviously important. It's time for us to be able to rejuvenate ourselves so that we can be our best selves for the children that we work with. And it's really important to do it regularly, preventatively, and after times of increased stress, right? How many of you guys do self-care regularly? Okay, good. You try, good. That's awesome. What are some of the things you guys do?
Take naps?
Yes, girl. I have a baby, 6-month-old at home, and naps are also what I'm trying to get in. Anyone else want to get naps? Sleep is important. Walks. Yes, walks. What else? Oh, your own quiet time. Yes, yes. Out to eat by yourself. Exactly. Yes, I'm not wishing COVID on myself or anybody, but that isolation time with my little 6-month-old sounds great to me. Like, yes, isolation time, all by myself, right? Just to have that time to recharge. Oh, yes, a nice bath with lavender, aromatherapy. Okay, so you guys basically already know the presentation, which is great because this is not necessarily rocket science, but it's important to remember it, right? And we brought it back up because it's so easy. We know what we should do, but we don't really do it that often, right? So just really quickly, stress hormones, this is kind of the sciencey little baby part of it. Adrenaline, epinephrine, norepinephrine, cortisol, those are not the best. Those are not the best hormones that are coursing through our body, right? That really happens usually in reaction to like fight, flight, freeze, right? Any kind of stress, or prolonged amounts of stress. You don't want this. You don't want these hormones raging in your body longer than they need to be, right? And what we know is that unfortunately, because of some of the experiences of the African American community in general, there have been studies done with little babies, little African American babies compared to little white babies, right? And everything being equal. So kind of like they both come from two-parent households, the income level is the same in those households. They test these babies in the beginning. The first thing when they look up for stress hormones, and just on a regular, the little black baby has higher stress levels than the white baby, right? So this tells us that our community needs these supports and needs to be able to take care of our one. Sure.
There have been lots of studies about intergenerational trauma.
Right.
And so that ends up passing on to our kids. The trauma that we experience intergenerationally. And so it's a real issue that we need to address. Make sure that our kids are able to grow up healthy and feel well.
Thank you for bringing that up, Tanya. I think, like a little side note, you want to know more information, which I always think information is power, right? Let's empower ourselves on intergenerational trauma and how that's passed down. Crystal Stairs actually also provides training through their Bridge program on historical trauma. And I want to let you know that that was really important. So I oversee the Bridge program in LA County with all of our 8 R&Rs. And that curriculum in particular was important for us to develop because trauma-informed care sometimes can have a very neutral tone, right? Like, everyone experiences trauma, the end, right? And while that's true, as humans, we do all experience trauma. It's also true that certain communities have experienced more trauma than others. And that means that those communities need more resources than others, right? And so that curriculum was built from a racial equity lens. We're the only county in the state to have that kind of specific, very local historical trauma curriculum. So if you want to learn more, there's tons about that historical trauma and how intergenerational trauma, the stress is passed down across generations. But what we want is to have these hormones, right? So we know, again, we have stress. We know that, right? I mean, I really don't need to be telling you guys that. But we want to increase our endorphins, our serotonin, our dopamine, and our oxytocin, all good, naturally occurring hormones. Okay, so what are some ways that we can do this? You guys have already talked about this exactly, I see that, right? How many of you guys love to eat chocolate? Yes. What about chili? Chili pepper? Yeah, I love chili too. I'm Mexican, I cannot put enough chili on everything. But those actually increase your endorphins, right? So that's awesome, naturally occurring. Laughing. So just laughing. How many of you know what sometimes I like to do? I like to find a little video of a little baby laughing. And then you just cannot help but laugh. I'm not kidding. I've been in some meetings, some stressful days, and I'm just like, ooh, I'm in a little bit of a bad mood, right? I could feel the stress on my shoulders. I go on YouTube, look up babies laughing, and I can't stop laughing, and then, smile. It helps you, right? So that's a tip. Almost everyone in here, probably everyone has a cell phone, right? Aromatherapy. One of our ladies over here said, I took a bath and I use aromatherapy. That definitely does. It's scientifically shown that it works, right? Mint, vanilla scents, things like that. Also meditation. How many of you meditate? Dang, this group is on fire. You're like, yes. How many of you guys use any meditation apps? In the back? Okay, a few. So there are a lot of meditation apps out there that you guys can download, that we can all download for free. And they give you nighttime, in the morning, in the middle of the day. Some are 2 minutes long, some are a minute long, right? So if you really want to take yourself into another place, put on some kind of audio meditation, close your eyes, and you can be at the beach and then back. And again, scientifically proven that you increase your endorphins, you lower your stress. Oh yeah, so meditation, yes. And I think that these are all great topics. I'm just scraping the tip of the iceberg for you guys here. But meditation looks differently for everyone, right? Sometimes you want to, they could do music. Sometimes it's a visual meditation, or it could be prayer. Yeah. So basically, meditation is any time you're trying to be very, very mindful. Have you guys heard that term before? Mindfulness? Trying to live right now in this moment, which is hard with all of those, the bills, that child that you're worried about, right? That parent that just is, challenging, can be challenging to work with. But when you take a minute, no matter what it is, to just push those thoughts aside, center yourself, think about your breathing even, right? All of that is shown to help lower your stress. So when, I have providers saying I take time to myself, that makes a big difference if you can just, kind of focus your energies and forget, the mess that might have just happened. Serotonin. Some of these things are going to increase your serotonin, getting enough sleep. Somebody also said that, right? That's huge. If you're working on like 4 hours, 5 hours, before having a baby, I needed like 8 hours. I'm like, I'm always going to get my 8 hours. Now I struggle to get like 6 or 7, you know what I mean? But I try, right? And when there's time to take a nap, I take that nap, right? So definitely getting enough sleep is going to prepare your body to take on the wear and tear of every single day. Prayer and meditation, we already talked about that, right? That looks different for everybody, so find something that works for you. Positive thoughts. Again, that could be a visualization, that could be bringing up those videos, and sometimes, phones, there's good and bad, too much screen time, not always the best, but if you can go on and, you find something that makes you laugh and thinks positively, that's gonna really lower your stress levels in that moment. Sunshine, vitamin D, very, very important, right? How many of us, and that I feel like is sometimes the biggest struggle when we're working, when we're with kids. I mean, if you're outside, but right now, who wants to be outside because it's so hot, right? But it's important to try to get those walks in, get some of that, even if it's sitting by a window with the sun on you, right? So important, and so important for those little ones. There's also been lots of studies shown about how vitamin D can help regulate children. So just that's something to keep in mind as well. A walk or a hike, exercise, right? Somebody already said that. Also, taking a walk around your neighborhood, taking a walk around the park, making that part of your, every day. When I get home, I take a walk, or 2 times a day I'm going to take a walk, right? Setting goals that are realistic, that you're really going to try to achieve it. Or doing it with a partner, an accountability partner, right? So right now, I'm like with my husband, okay, we need to take the baby out, we need to take a walk. Our goal is like 2 times out of the week before dinner, we're gonna take a walk. And we keep each other accountable to that, right? Maybe it's a neighbor, maybe it's your dog, who knows? Next, we're gonna talk about dopamine. So here are some other things. Protein-rich foods, like some of our meats sometimes, right? Anything that has high protein is actually really good for you as well. And so that's gonna increase your dopamine. Listening to music is going to increase your dopamine. Spending time with other people and just being around people that you love. Their energy is positive. Your energy is positive. You guys lift each other up, right? Like this. I think this meeting is probably going to be already is a huge dopamine booster for everyone here. I felt it when I walked in the room like 20 minutes ago, right? So thank you to Crystal Stairs for giving us all our dopamine boosts for this Saturday. A list. This might seem crazy, but I feel like in this group, how many of you, when you have a moment to create like a to-do list, even if it's for the market, right? Writing that down and then checking off those items is so satisfying, right? It can be so satisfying. So even if before you guys open your doors, you have 3 items on a little checklist that you're like, I want to say hi to this parent intentionally, I want to spend a couple extra minutes with this child, right? Whatever, or things for yourself. I want to go on that walk. I want to take that 5-minute walk in the sun, right? And at the end of the day, you can cross them off. You're gonna feel so much better just by crossing them. I'm a big checklist person. And caffeine. Caffeine, natural. Look at it again. Crystal Stairs already provided this to you guys. So delicious. So they're making sure you guys are on a high, on a natural, healthy, happy hormone high. Okay, we're going to talk really quickly about healthy boundaries. So boundaries are essentially our list of what's okay and what's not okay. And our boundaries are going to differ. What are safe and healthy boundaries, comfortable boundaries for me, are going to be different for you, and that is okay. Nobody gets to tell you that you're being too sensitive, you're being too rigid. No, those are your boundaries, right? And what's important is that I think as providers, as givers, as like lovers, healers, nurturers of your community, right? It's so easy to have blurred boundaries because you're giving and loving too much, right? But you need to be able to save enough of that energy for you, right? We've all heard that saying, like, when the airplane is going down, you gotta put your mask on first before you put anyone else's mask on them, right? So that mask is your healthy boundary. Boundaries help us create relationships based on mutual respect and trust. It's not just that I'm gonna respect your boundaries and we're all good. No. I'm gonna respect yours and you're gonna respect mine, right? This mutually beneficial, respectful relationship. When you have boundaries, you're going to communicate your expectations. That's okay to say, like, this is what I expect. Whether this is in your business with parents, interpersonally with the children that you work with, right? Or in your personal relationships with your partner, with your family members, it's okay for you to say, this is what I expect from our interactions, right? And then hold them to that, right? Which is the harder part, and we'll get to that. Okay, and we know that having boundaries is going to help prevent provider burnout, right? Probably, one of the most, in my opinion, important roles, right? You guys work with our 0 to 5. We all know how important 0 to 5 is for our healthy communities, right, in the future. We have such an important job. We don't want you guys leaving the field. We don't want you guys kind of half there. We want you guys fully there. That's why you were called to this work, right? So we want you guys to be able to do the work and give the love and nurturing that our little ones need. And appropriately support, right? So it allows you, when you are not burnt out, to appropriately support children and families. Because let's be real, your child care providers, early childhood educators, you're really working with those whole families. That's a big responsibility. That can be a big burden, right? And you can only do so much. You can only do so much. Oh, my bad, I'm so sorry. There are all of these beautiful, I forgot to keep clicking on that. Okay, signs of unhealthy boundaries. You guys could probably give me a list, but for time, I'm gonna give you guys, and then let me know if this resonates with you. For a child care provider in particular, excessive worrying about a child or children outside of your work hours. How many of you ever experienced that? How many of you have ever had like a nightmare or you're losing sleep over thinking about some of the children in your care? Raise your hand if that's happened to you. You're caring too much, right? And part of it, we're educators, you guys are givers, but if it's excessive, it is taking from your energy, and that's not okay, right? Because that's not filling your cup, that's taking from your cup, right? And then that means that when you go out to meet all of those little ones, you're not going to have as much. Your limit is going to be reached quicker, right? You're going to be like, oh, I cannot with this child, I cannot with this parent. Your patience, you're going to have less patience, right? Okay, another sign of an unhealthy boundary: sharing personal phone numbers with clients, with families. Some of us, here's something to think about. Some of us are like, when they ask for your information, it's like phone number, home phone, cell phone. Who has a home phone really anymore? Oh, you do? Oh, really? Okay. Well, and that is your business line, right? Maybe okay, see, there you go. There you go. There you go. Because I think for some others of us, right, like I don't have a home phone, I don't have a cell phone. So if I'm giving you my cell phone, that's the way to get in contact with me 24/7. Tanya says if you're over 40, you have a home phone. If you're under, you don't. But also, I think if I had my own business, right? If I had my own childcare business in my home, then that's smart to have a separate phone line, and that's what this is getting to, right? Because we've worked with providers who say, they have my cell phone. That is the number that I use for my business. So then what happens? Well, then even when your business is closed, You have parents calling you. You cannot separate, and you need to be able to separate, right? There's even something called, look at, she's like, I have 2 phones, you have 2 cell phones. There you go. There you go. And that's what you really need, right? And you write that off, because that is a business expense, okay? So you go ahead and get yourself 2 phones, you write that off, because you really need to be able to, when the business is closed, right? And when people want to leave voicemails, they can leave a voicemail, and then when you are ready to check that voicemail, you will check it, right? Not this 24/7 access. Okay, other signs of unhealthy boundaries: giving a gift to a child or a family when not all children and families are receiving that gift. So this could be a slippery slope. I can hear, I hear some hums over there, right? This is something for us to think about and chew on. Because of course, I can see an argument being made like, well, that family really, if it's a resource, that's not necessarily a gift, right? If there's a resource that you're giving them, or you've been able to, like, Crystal Stairs gives resources, and then you give that to that family, but they're the only family that needs it, right? Okay, that's different. But giving them a gift that you're not giving everyone is a sign for you to check in with yourself and to say, am I getting, like, in an unhealthy way attached to this child and to this family, right? So it's a clue to check in with yourself. And kind of similarly along this line, feeling personally responsible for a child's growth or development, like you're their only hope, right? Now again, this is hard because, like, I'm telling you, I've worked in these communities. I was a teacher in our communities, and sometimes I know there's like, I am that child's only hope, because that really could be the reality, right? But it's important for us to really hold on to, when is that the case? When do they need that actual extra resource? And how much are you just saying, like, all of these children, need me, I'm their only hope, and kind of develop this savior complex that is not healthy, right? So it's important for us to consider these things. None of these things are black and white, right? If there's an emergency, maybe you might give a family member your personal cell phone, because something is happening with that family, and you're like, look, here, I know you're not going to abuse it, here's my personal cell phone. Okay, right? But that's not all the time. So this is, when there are red flags, is when these things are happening constantly, right? And you're seeing that this is a pattern, well, then maybe you have some issues with either you communicating a boundary, because maybe you haven't told them that don't call me 24/7. Maybe your attitude has been like, well, every time they call, I answer, and I sound happy, and I don't send it to voicemail, so then what are you communicating? Go ahead, call me whenever you need to, right? So this is good to just kind of check in on these things. Okay, now setting healthy boundaries. Guys, ladies, gentlemen, everybody, this is going to sound so basic, but be real. It's important to do these things, right? You need to, identify what your red flag areas are. So for example, again, everyone in here is different. They're probably providers who are like, I don't care that they call me 24/7, it doesn't bother me. I don't lose sleep over it doesn't bother me. Well, then great, then that's not your red flag, right? But you guys need to stop and think, like, what are the things that families do, that parents do, that children do that really, like, get me, right? That really get me, and write those things down, right? You want to write down your boundaries. So, for example, if it's like, I only want parents, also not just calling you whenever, but sometimes I know that some families will take advantage of your hours and will pick up their children way, way, way later than they're supposed to. That you're technically closed, right? You're technically closed. So it's important to, just like we talked about, writing those lists, all of this stuff, it's also scientifically proven that if you write down your goals, right? And for here would be your boundary. Like, I will not, let it off the hook. What can you do if a parent is constantly late? What can you do? Okay, charge them a fee. Charge them a fee. And here's the other thing. I know some providers that don't even feel comfortable doing that.
Put it in your contract.
Put it in your contract. Charge them that fee. But again, I know some providers, so you have the boundary, you have it in your contract, but they don't enforce it, right? You gotta enforce it. You gotta be clear and direct with communicating a boundary. Okay, so because this is kind of also where I was going with that. What can you do with that family that constantly takes their child late? What's the first thing you need to do with them? Discuss. Just talk to them. Talk to them. And again, this is why we need to be taking care of ourselves, because not everybody, because some people can see that as like really confrontational. Again, being in this field, maybe you don't want the drama, right? And just even thinking about having those conversations can be stressful sometimes. But this is where we have to practice, right? What are you gonna say? And you need to practice saying, hey, this is not okay. Because guess what? You don't talk to them. You're going to charge them the late fee. What do they think? What are some parents thinking? Okay, well, they're fine with it as long as I charge them the late fee. But you're really like, I want this to stop. I don't want your late fee. I want my time where I'm closed, right? So you need to be able to talk to them directly and say, this is my boundary. Not only am I going to charge you the late fee, but I don't appreciate it, right? And taking a few minutes to stop and say, what is your plan? Have you thought about who else can pick up the child, right? And really communicating like, I'm not okay with this, right? And of course, you need to stay firm. You can't have that conversation, right? And then, be all big and bad and like, yes, I'm holding my boundary. And then the next time that they do it, you're like, oh, it's so great to see you. Hope you had a great day. Bye. Have a good weekend, right? No, you need to stay firm and stay consistent. Okay, this is pretty much the end of my presentation for you guys. And before I wrap up, I just want to ask, how can self-care, because this is what we're here for, right? You guys are in this profession to work with our little ones and to nurture their growth. So how do you think self-care can impact your relationship with a child? How does it impact your relationship? Yes. Your patience with the child. When we don't have, yes.
It can impact your own health.
Your own health, yes. We looked at those stress hormones, and I was like, we do not want these, right? Because there are long-term health implications, negative ones that can come out. Yes.
Okay. I've been in business for over 30 years, so what I say might not be applicable to everybody, with mobility. Because your needs change and your weight changes, and if you really want to interact with them and get down on the floor and do all these wonderful things that you've been taught, like tummy time and all that, you got to do something different. Like, I got to be in the gym and lose weight there and stuff, because I'm like, I'm almost 60 years old. That don't feel good no more.
Great. No, yes. Thank you for mentioning that. So for those of you that couldn't hear, what she said was that mobility, that as you age, right? And I mean, I'm 36. Didn't have a baby. This is my first baby, and I'm telling you, I'm sure it's very different from my sister that had her baby when she was 26, right? So she's, we're saying, if you want to be mobile, if you want to do those best practices, pick up the babies, get on tummy time, do all the things that they need, you need to think about your own physical self-care, right? That's such a great point. Anyone else want to speak on this? Yeah. Oh my gosh, say a little bit more. Effective communication for the babies to understand. Who wants to expand on that?
I just want to say that children can read your children.
Yes.
So
yes.
You're providers and community that's speaking.
Yes.
If you're going to portray that off the children and pick up on that, then their behavior is going to change.
Yes.
So you have to make sure you take care of yourself.
Right.
When you wake up, you happy, they see that you're happy, you're giving that happy
Right.
environment.
Oh my gosh, yes. I mean, what you guys are really talking about is supporting social, emotional development in children, right? And first of all, when I am super stressed and I've had it, do I have the patience to tell my baby, okay, mommy is tired right now. Mommy needs a break. Like, right? No, I don't have that patience. It's like, take the baby, like, just give it to my husband, right? But at working with those little ones, we know how important it is to narrate those emotions, right? And when you guys are frustrated, when they do something that's not right, it's okay to tell them, that's really frustrating, right? Or I'm a little bit upset right now. I'm gonna go take a walk. This is not okay, right? But you still have to have enough wherewithal, enough patience to be able to access that part of our brains that can calmly address the situation, right? And you're modeling every time that we're calm and able to model, these are healthy emotions. It's okay to be sad. It's okay to be mad. It's okay to be frustrated, but it's not okay to lash out, right? And we end up lashing out. So I feel like that's what's really important, right? We look at these little ones and we're like, oh my God, they're dysregulated. Well, I've seen plenty of dysregulated adults. Okay? And the behavior looks very, very similar. Right? Yes. So all of these reasons for you guys to hopefully, really, if there was one thing, actually that's gonna be before I leave, can you guys all take 30 seconds to think of one thing that you're gonna do for yourselves this weekend, today or tomorrow. So you have a day and a half left to really do some serious self-care for yourself. Please think about that. I'm gonna give you a couple seconds. One thing. All right, hopefully you have it. Hopefully, you know what? You should share it with somebody at your table. You take a second to share that self-care activity with someone at your table so they can hold you accountable. Okay? All right, well, thank you guys so much. It's been such a beautiful time here with you. I really appreciate it. Thank you for giving me my dopamine boost. And I hope you guys have a great weekend.
She's short and tall. So that was really awesome. Thank you so much. Really wonderful. I hope you guys really enjoyed that. People were taking notes, and so I want you to know that we're going to be sending a link of the PowerPoint presentation. So you will have the information that was covered during our meeting today. And before we leave, I again want to say thank you to all of you for coming here. And again, thank you to everybody who helped make today very possible. We still have some giveaways, and y'all got this incredible welcome package that we're also about to distribute. We have one more laptop and 2 more baskets, so we're about to do some raffles right now.
What is the Harambe, the Swahili turf that you learned today? So her job is to one, stay tuned, okay? Stay tuned, look at our email, see what's going on. We're building this ship while we're sailing it. Go tell somebody. There should not be an African American provider in your earshot that does not know about us and that is not part of pulling this together. So please go in and tell somebody. And figure out how you can be part of this. What role do you want to play? I have a list already of y'all who have come to me. I'm going to her girls' night out. We're going to Pastor Martin. How can you engage and create community? Right? How can we support each other until our things start to materialize? Let's not lose this connection. I have been so blessed by each one of you. We will be on the outside giving you your membership gift. So if y'all not a member and we missed you,